G'day guys, it's Scott here and welcome to another Pod TV. It's great to have you guys back and obviously now I've settled into my new place on the Sunshine Coast, so I'll be a little bit more consistent with this stuff, so I apologise for that. But let's talk through the normal stuff. Administration wise guys, I'm really excited. We will be launching live workshops incredibly soon. Even though I can't travel out of Queensland, obviously we'll have dry needling and FMT workshop up and running in a very exciting new format, and that's compliments of Tito and Mike. And then also we'll be obviously hitting the ground running with Kane running our strength and conditioning for runners workshop in the sunny state of Queensland. So look out for those guys, it is coming. Our strength and conditioning accreditation, accredited course by ASCA, which is the only one that's accredited by that, live workshop which gives you that certification. Unfortunately, that's on the back burner until borders do open, because obviously we need Pat Doan to be able to travel to location. So a little bit tricky, but we'll keep working on it. And obviously it's been a bumpy year for everyone. So tonight I wanted to talk a bit about how much are you doing for falls? And you know, this is obviously a topic that I bring up occasionally, but I think I'm really passionate about it, and I think it's a great way to engage patients beyond what you do, because the truth is a majority of our work comes from the general care or the nail care patient, and that patient has so much more to offer us and we have so much more to offer them in regards to taking care of them and giving them a good outcome. And I think that's where falls comes in. We touch on it, and when I was at uni they touched on it, and it was something that they talked about as a really big part of our profession. But then there was like no extra training about it, and I was like, oh. And I've always endeavoured to try and navigate it with my general care patients, so that if they are an at-risk patient of falls, that we need to do more for them, and there's so much more to do. And obviously giving them the basic of shoe advice stuff, that's great, but that's just advice. Why can't we do more very small exercises with them to get them going and get them moving? So I think I really wanted just to hit the nail on the head a little bit harder with this, is if you've got a patient sitting in front of you and you're doing general care, have you asked them, do they have how's their balance? Have they had a fall? Do you feel stable on your feet? Are you regularly active? Have you looked at them getting out of the chair in your reception? Are they able to? Are they using hands? So doing the simple things of assessing those falls and straight away going, okay, you might not have this brilliant framework to assess them for falls and go, oh look, they've ticked all the boxes, they're a falls risk. You don't need that. If they've got the inability to get up out of a chair in a normal or easy fashion, I'd consider them a falls risk. There's a large percentage of falls that occur from someone come out of a chair. They fall out of a chair, and that's where they do their damage. And you've got to remember the other thing is with a lot of falls risk, why they're such at-risk patients is when they have a fall, they're unable to get themselves up off the ground. So if their phone's up on the bench or they don't have a safety buzzer, they can't then contact someone, and unfortunately they have a horrible outcome. So with your general cares, I want you all to really be taking note of their at-risk status, not just diabetic but falls, and then supply them with what you can do for them. And that can be as simple as going through and doing some exercises with them. And the exercises are the most basic things in the world. So I'm going to run you through some of those exercises that I use for my falls patients, some of the things I look for, and hopefully this becomes really insightful for everybody and we see more people doing this. And speaking from a professional position, there's so much more you can do for falls than just shoes and exercises. You know, do they need a biomechanical assessment? Do they need to be referred to a physio or exercise physiologist? So there's so much more profession that we can do for them. So let's go on to part 2, and we're going to do some exercises. G'day guys, here is my first exercise for people at falls risk. Very simple wall sit, but it's modified in a way to put less stress on the knee, so it's also good for people who are suffering knee pain and improve muscle activation around the knee. And simply putting it, let's go through. Traditionally, most people will do a wall sit, shoulder width apart, toes pointing forward, and they'll go down into a seated position at 90 degrees. And your knees are directly over your ankle, so you're getting this nice straight line in the leg. Now that puts heaps of stress on my knees, and I don't like that. This position is also really hard for me to get out of. So for someone who's not as well conditioned as me as a specimen, they're going to find that really, really tricky and potentially put themselves at a falls. So let's not do that. Let's modify this. Let's change this to a safer position. So starting position, still toes pointing forward, knees pointing forward, but let's sit up at 45-degree thigh angle. Now, self-assessment, my VMO is still firing like crazy. My leg, now this is the key element. My knee is still over my ankle, my leg is still straight. It's not tucked in, it's not tucking forward like this. It's still straight right there. And I can hold that for a minute, really, really easily, getting that contraction and then activation pattern. And then I can also get out of that position really, really safely. So that's my number one on helping people with their falls risk stuff. And it's a great one to build quad and leg strength in a safe environment. Let's go to part two. Okay, let's do part two. So this is a more functional movement, and I love functional movements. I don't like isolated movements too much. So that wall sit's a great isolated movement, and what I would normally do is build to have a more functional movement. So this is the next functional movement I do. They can do a wall sit to warm up, and then they can do probably just like 3 sets of 10 or 1 set of 20 repetitions of this daily. And it's a very, very simple movement that they're going to see every day. So what we're going to do is going to build up an unstable surface. I don't have one of those soft blue foam squares at home at the moment, but that's a great item to have for this. It's a really good instability or unstable surface. Terrible English. This is the 2 towels just folded up over each other, so we're creating an unstable surface. Now traditionally people are like, oh, stand on one leg while you're brushing your teeth. Well, I don't fall when I'm brushing my teeth standing on one leg, because I don't stand on my leg to brush my teeth. So let's put them into a stepping phase, because most people will fall while they're taking a step and there's a level of instability, and that then causes them to have to action, or their body intrinsically action or respond to that instability, and they don't have that. So let's teach them a little bit of strength and conditioning around that. Simply get them to have unstable surface, and what we're going to do is simply just take a step onto the unstable surface. They're going to fluidly come through. They're going to come through to a small squat and step over. So it's simply like going into slow motion. So we're going to go hit the spot, bend, squat, turn, and away we go. Now I'm shortening my step because of the camera view, but it's simply bang, bend down, squat, and away we go. This is great for ankle rehab as well, one I use really commonly, but it's very, very simple. Bang, squat, and away we go. Now that, I've got an ankle injury on this side, so it's a little bit unstable on that side, whereas my good one, I can do that quite easily. And that's where people are going to activate and start to fall. They're going to hit the ground, hit an unstable surface, get all rocky, they're going to go into single leg stance, away they go, and then they're going to go down. But if you teach them to hit the ground, do a small squat position and then step over, they're going to start to attune and condition for when they're put in that environment. So they're my 2 exercises that I do, an isolated and then a functional movement, and that's how I design my programs for people who are at risk of falls, and some of the things that I start to build on. I want to do more of this stuff, so keep your eyes out, but I hope this helps everyone out tonight. And remember, watch this space, workshops, live, people-to-people contact workshop, as bad as that sounds right now, but safe people-to-people contact workshops are coming soon to you all over the country. Also keep your eyes peeled for obviously P20. We are still going ahead, February 2020, and lots more other cool stuff to come. So I look forward to seeing you guys then. Have a great week, and thanks for tuning into Pod TV. Catch us.